Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. And there are three great locations over in the College Town District, Madison Social, Township, and Central. I'm Aslan. He's Corey, senior writer and columnist for WarChant.com. Corey, how's your well-being right now?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Reminder to everybody at home, we'll be doing the Renegade Express on Thursday. Do give us a call on the feedback line, 850-792-5730. That's 850-7-YAKS-30. So we got that going for us on Thursday. Also, if you could please leave a 5-star review for us on the iTunes machine, if possible. If you don't want to leave a 5-star review, that's fine. Don't leave any review at all if it's not going to be a 5-star. Somebody left a 4-star review, Corey. They love you. Love you. They even use the S word to describe you. Savant.
Sensational? Oh, savant. Okay.
Yeah. They don't like me talking about my social life. They don't know how to spell my name, but whatever. We'll get over it. And
yeah, we haven't really delved into your social life much.
Yeah, well, I guess the whole dating thing. Oh, you guys.
Will you let us know? Will you at least let us know if there's something worth delving into?
Yeah.
Right, well, yeah. I don't want to have to pry it out of you.
Nah, I mean, things are out there. I'm out there making things happen every now and then.
All right, making some moves. All right,
yeah,
good,
we're trying. And then on YouTube, some guy said I sucked because I'm not a homer. Which is, I think that's kind of like almost complaining about the person, the chef that made the food, but it wasn't salty enough or something.
Well, see, that review bothers me because I feel like the implication there is that I am a homer. So maybe that's why he likes me and didn't single me out.
This is different. This is one of the crazy people on YouTube, which we shouldn't give airtime to because they don't pay any money. But anyhow, we'll move along.
Good point.
But the guy who does love you, past or future and present tense, does not like baseball. So for that, I tell him, buckle up and enjoy the remainder of this segment and the next segment. The big news of the day on Monday was the fact that Mike Martin will get his 40th year at the helm of the Florida State baseball program afterwards. We're hoping that it'll stand firm and he will retire gracefully and a national search will be conducted and he'll walk off into the sunset, most definitely with 2,000 career wins and hopefully that one elusive national title that's missing from his otherwise sterling resume. You wrote a column about it, but since you never watched my videos, I didn't read your column. What was the gist of it, Corey?
The gist of it was, and I did see feel like I saw one of your last videos that was real. Oh, the Taggart thing. I thought that was really good, man. Right. Good job on that.
I was kidding. I read the column, but
and I watch all your video. I actually didn't see your video. I'm just kidding. I did see it. It was really good. Anyway, the gist of it was, Aslan, thanks for asking, that I thought it was handled about as well as you could possibly hope for under the circumstances, and mainly because we've been here before, right? 10 years ago, essentially, the Florida State University was in a similar situation in the sense that it was an aging coach, a legendary coach who had the field named after him, and you had to at some way, figure out a succession plan. And the difference is, and what I point out is, number one, Florida State baseball isn't Florida State football back then. They're relevant, top 8, all that stuff. We all know that. I'm not going into that again. But Florida State baseball is still really good, despite the postseason they just had. Florida State football had fallen off a cliff. But the guy that was running Florida State football at the time did not want to leave. He kept saying he didn't want to leave. He's like, I'll tell you when I want to retire. And then it became, I just want one more year. And it was like pulling teeth. Literally, they finally just had to essentially fire him. And it was ugly. So ugly that he came to his first practice in 8 years just a few months ago. So it was cool. I thought it was really nice by 11 and by the administration to work this out, where it seems anyway that it's copacetic. We don't know for sure, but it seems like it's copacetic that he gets to go out with one more year, which he deserves. He doesn't deserve to be fired, obviously, but obviously you can't coach forever, and they have to start making plans for the post Mike Martin era. So better sooner than later, but give him one more year. He gets a farewell tour. Hopefully he can somehow exorcise the demons and win his last game. But either way, he gets to kind of ride off into the sunset a little bit, and they can move on with someone else.
Well, why now though? I mean, I know he's going to be 75.
He's about to be. He's going to be 75 soon. I mean, again, and I think it's we went through this, right? Like all Florida State fans, media, administrators went through all this before with an aging guy, and you've seen it before. And I mean, I think they didn't want to get too far down that road, where it's like, okay, so they still won 40 games into 2023. Well, now he's 79. And every year we're having to convince recruits that we know what we're doing with the future of our baseball program. But he can't coach forever. So, I mean, I guess it could have gone a year or two more, maybe a 2-year deal. But, I think when you're in your mid-70s, it's being used against you in recruiting, obviously. You've got to make plans for the new era to begin.
But he's not showing. He's not showing any signs of slowing down. I mean, he just won, the ACC tournament title back-to-back years. First time that's been done in, I don't know, it was golly over 10 years or so, maybe even more than that. I mean, top 5 or top 8 national seed. Like, why now then?
Yeah, you're going to ask me that until I answer it. I really don't know. Again, I think it's mainly just the age. That if you give him another 2-year deal, and now you're looking at a 76-year-old coach, and then what? Is he going to retire then? Maybe he just was ready. Yeah. Maybe this was him finally, and it could be that way. I know it's hard for us to grasp because of what we went through in 2009 with the football team. It's hard for us to grasp that an aging coach, a legendary coach, wants to hang it up. But that might just be it. It might be as simple as he doesn't give as much as he wants to give. He doesn't have as much to give as he once had. He certainly doesn't recruit like he did 20 years ago. And maybe, quite honestly, maybe he's trying to step out of line so a guy that shares his name can step into line.
Are you surprised? When you heard the news, were you like, oh, this is about what I thought would happen? Or were you surprised to see that the finality, the line has been drawn?
No, I thought it would be something like this. I thought it would either be a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with the caveat that it would be the end of it, that this would be his last contract. And then he'll go serve as in an ambassador role or some sort of capacity like that. So no, I wasn't surprised. I certainly wasn't surprised on Monday. I had heard that it was coming for a few days, and so I knew that was coming. That's why I had my column whipped up and ready to go so quickly. Aslan, is because I'd already written it before the news was officially announced, and because I just thought that I thought it would happen like this. And I'm glad it did. Again, I think it's a really neat send-off for him. You would have hated for him his last decision that he ever made to run that kid back out there after a rain delay. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't the way Mike Martin needed to go out. And also, like we talked about, it's not like his program has fallen into an abyss. So it gives him the chance to have that farewell tour. And again, against Florida State, they said they're going to start conducting a national search after the conclusion of the 2019 season. Well, that's nonsense. That search is ongoing now. And because what would be the point of waiting? I mean, and when I say that, I mean, there are feelers being sent out, probably from coaches to Florida State, maybe vice versa, to gauge interest level. I'm sure that started in earnest at about 4:00 on Monday afternoon when that news came out that the Florida State head coaching job was about to be open. I feel like there are a lot of people sending a lot of feelers to Stan Wilcox or vice versa to see where an interest level was.
It's crazy, man. It was going to end. We knew it was going to end. It's bittersweet sort of to see it finally. Like, the reality is here because you want to see the guy be able to win a championship. But I don't. My thing is with the timing of it. I mean, I kind of want to save it almost to the next segment because we need to talk about what the succession plan is going to entail. But I don't know that I don't know how much recruiting. I don't know how cutthroat baseball recruiting is compared to football, where you have to have a coach in place and all that kind of stuff, and how many guys are going to shy away from that, especially if they're able to get ahead of things and get a search ongoing. So that's kind of where I just don't know how legitimate the search is going to be, and I hate to be skeptical about it, but it's reading the tea leaves. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know how it just doesn't get handed off to his son, which is not the worst.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, I think that's what many people think, and I know we'll probably talk about in the next segment. But I thought there was a chance until I asked Stan Wilcox about it, honestly, last fall, I thought there was a chance they might come up with another coach in waiting type scenario where they announce that 11 has 1 or 2 years left and that Mike Martin Jr. is going to take over when he calls it quits. I thought that might have been, but then talking to Stan Wilcox about that last year, he did not seem to be a fan of that in the least. He does know that Florida State is a national brand. He does know that Florida State is a national prominent job, an elite program, and there are going to be a lot of candidates, and it would be dumb to limit yourself. Quite frankly, it was kind of dumb for Florida State football to do what they did, to just limit themselves to an unproven assistant coach when they gave Jimbo the head coach at waiting, and one that, quite frankly, hadn't accomplished a ton. Hadn't accomplished really anything at Florida State, and they gave him the head coach in waiting really kind of on a whim. I mean, looking back 10 years later, that was kind of just a really bizarre move, and it turned out to work. It turned out to work perfectly for a while, 5 or 6 years anyway. And but Stan Wilcox did not seem to have any interest at all in that philosophy, and I get it. Why limit yourself? Kevin O'Sullivan might get bored at Florida. He might want to go win in Tallahassee or whoever.
That'll be crazy.
I mean, that's not going to happen. But maybe anybody. Tony La Russa wants to coach at his alma mater. Who knows?
Come on,
you just don't limit yourself to. They'd actually go from an old guy to an older guy and get a La Russa. But you can't limit yourself, and I don't think you limit yourself and just say, okay, this is the guy we want. But as I wrote, and we'll talk about it again in the next segment, and I'll expound on it more. The only way they're hiring, in my opinion, the only way they're going to hire an assistant coach to take this job is if it's Mike Martin Jr. It would make no sense to go elsewhere if you're going to hire an assistant coach. If you're going to hire a head coach, a proven one, well, okay, he hasn't done that. But if you're going to just tap an assistant, well, it would be bizarre if they tap someone other than Mike Martin Jr.
Yeah, well, that's going to limit the short list of candidates. But as they had with Jimbo Fisher over the years, knowing that he probably was going to leave at some point, I'm sure there is a short list of some sort already on the desk of Stan Wilcox as the search begins. Once again, Mike Martin announces that 2019 will be his final season in Tallahassee, his final season coaching college baseball, final. It's over. What will be ahead for the program? We'll talk about it next. Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Super ugly. Put your cups up. Get your smoke in.
What is up? I'm Aslan. He is Corey Clark. We both work for WarChant.com. The show is Wake Up War Chant. It's 97.9 ESPN Radio, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. All right, Corey, your column titled FSU hits perfect note with Martin retirement announcement. Does a really good job of just painting the picture overall of Mike Martin's career, how this is a good time to step away. And then ultimately at the end, you kind of try to land the plane and talk about, what's the next step for Florida State. And you mentioned in the previous segment, and I agree with you. I think if there's going to be an assistant coach that's going to be named the head coach at Florida State, it has to be Mike Martin Jr. I don't know how you could really go out and take a chance on another candidate that's an assistant coach that's not a proven head coach. And in terms of taking chances, this is the pro-meat argument, I guess you could say. And listen, I don't know. It's hard for me to reconcile the fact that we're going to give him credit for all the good stuff that's happened since he's been assistant coach, and then we're going to kind of incubate him away from anything bad that's happened. So that's the struggle that I have with meat. Obviously, the good that he's accomplished is quite significant, but I mean, I think other than South Alabama, I don't remember any serious flirtations between him and another program being the head coach. But I think the real risk, if you're Florida State, and this is what I'm thinking, I don't know if this is what Stan Wilcox is thinking, and you can obviously share your 2 cents on it. You can't take a chance that you lose him, can you? And then he goes to, I don't know, let's say Tennessee hires Mike Martin Jr., and then he wins a College World Series there. Or the only thing is, I don't know how well thought of he is in those circles. Again, I think South Alabama is the only program I've ever heard of him being seriously connected to in the last 6, 7, 8 years. But him, I mean, how bad of a look, not to get everybody triggered at home, how bad of a look is it if you lose Mike Martin Jr., he goes out and kicks ass wherever he goes, which is a definite possibility if he goes somewhere else.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't think he would go somewhere as a head coach. initially, not at a place like Tennessee anyway. I think the thing, the
Why not?
weird
Why
thing
not,
about
man? Kevin O'Sullivan, Brian O'Connor. I mean, these guys, Virginia's head coach, Florida's head coach. These guys went from assistant jobs to head coach.
If I'm the AD at Tennessee, or say the AD at, I don't know, Wichita State, who has a nice baseball tradition.
They do.
And I'm looking for a new head coach. Wouldn't I be scared away that Florida State didn't hire the guy? Like, man, if he couldn't even get the job at Florida State and they know him better than anyone, and his dad is a legend, then, man, I don't know if I want to be I don't know if he's ready to coach Wichita State. I say that not agreeing with that sentiment. I'm just saying maybe that's what an AD would think of a big-time school. Like, say Mike Martin Jr. leaves the program after this year because he doesn't get the job or whatever happens, and then Troy or South Alabama comes open again. I think he would be hired really, really quickly. He's got a ton of recruiting connections, and he's also it's proven what he can do as an offensive coach. The problem he had back to South Alabama or any other job that would have been the perfect job for him, and it's weird and it's odd to say. It's almost it just seems like an oxymoron almost. But his last name has hurt him trying to climb up the coaching ladder. Because South Alabama was like, well, why would we hire you? As soon as your dad retires in a few years, you're going to go right back to Florida State. So what are we getting out of you? Just a couple of years until you go, which, I mean, it's South Alabama. You should know you want your program to be a springboard for bigger things. But still, I do think that's really hurt him. It's hurt him like when maybe the Georgia job came open. Normally, he would have been a really top candidate. He's the hitting coach and has been for 20 years at one of the best programs in the country that consistently is in the top 10 in the country in scoring runs and on base percentage and all that. But I don't know how serious a candidate he was at Georgia, because they all think as soon as 11 retires, that Mike Martin Jr. will take over and be the head coach. Well, what if that then doesn't happen? Well, then he kind of got screwed both ways. He couldn't climb the coaching ladder, even if he was trying to, because he didn't get a lot of looks because of his last name. And then if he doesn't get the job, it might be because of his last name. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. In your sort of, I mean, your expertise or just kind of your feel and the people that you know, I mean, would you say that by and large, like the power brokers of Florida State, do you think they more are leaning towards, do they want to see Meat be the guy, or do you think most folks want to see like an honest, full national net thrown out there and to see what they can get? Or do you think they just want to do that to maybe appease most folks and they already have the best guy they need and he's already on campus?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't have a real pulse of that, of what the power brokers want. But I'll also say this, and this is something we have to keep in mind. There aren't a lot of power brokers for college baseball. It is not a big-time moneymaker. I don't know that it makes money at all.
Respect the dugout club, Corey. Respect the dugout club, man.
Right. It ain't making a ton of money. You're talking about, just peanuts compared to what football makes. It's not even in the same the same campus. It's not close. So I don't really think that those people should have much say, because there aren't a ton of people that are giving a ton of money to Florida State baseball. You know who should have a say is Buster Posey.
Ooh.
Hey, man, ask Buster. Say, Buster, hey, man, you can be the head coach if you give us $20 million. And so I just don't think that that's going to come into play much. I think it really will be what Stan Wilcox and what John Thrasher. Because you're worried about alienating a fan base? I mean, even for a big time game, it's a few thousand people. Yeah. You're not alienating 80,000 people. And it's not TV. It's not TV. It's not. There's not a lot of risk in making a bad hire when it comes to college baseball. And again, I'm not saying that Mike Martin Jr. would be a bad hire. I think quite frankly, I think he's probably the right hire. And I think it would be cool, just sentimentally, because I do know the family and Mike Martin's been very good to me. I think it would be cool when Florida State finally wins a national championship, that a Martin will win it. Yeah. But I hear the people rolling their eyes in the cars thinking, well, yeah, a lot of good that's done. It's the last 40 years. So I get that side of it too. But look, you can't stay unlucky in Omaha forever, people. The luck's going to turn. And when it does, you're going to win 4 or 5 of those bad boys in a row.
Yeah, look at
Wouldn't
Texas.
it be cool if the Martins were celebrating?
Yeah, look how lousy Texas is, going to Omaha like 30 times and losing.
I mean, what are they? It was 6 out of 36.
Come on.
Good luck, Longhorns. That's ridiculous. I guarantee you, if Florida State gets to the College World Series 36 times, they've only been 22. They'll have more than 6 national championships.
Next 14, they're just warming up. You know, to kind of double back to the previous segment in terms of the timing, I mean, how much of it, you talk about Mike Martin Jr., his name hurting him. How much do you think 11 agreeing to do it now, and I'm not saying it's because he knows his son's going to get, you know, the first and last interview or whatever, but how much of it do you think is the fact that the Martin brand is still pretty solid? It's still pretty valuable. Because if he didn't wait it out, I mean, let's say if he did wait it out and then he loses the 40-game win streak, and let's say they don't even make a regional, like, wouldn't that tarnish Meat's candidacy? Or do you think that wouldn't?
Maybe. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, that it's hard to say because that hasn't happened. But yeah, I mean, if they somehow went 20-40, yeah, it would be weird to hire an assistant coach from a team that just performed that badly. That's not really applicable here, but yeah, I mean, again, I have no idea what the talks were behind the scenes. Obviously, I mean, we're not dumb. We know that has been brought up, that Mike Martin wants his son to be the head coach. I'm sure that was talked about, but they did not come out and say that he was going to be the next head coach. And I do take Stan Wilcox at his word that it'll be a national search. Now, the national search might consist of calling the guy at Oregon State, calling the guy at Florida, and calling the guy at, I don't know, 2 other places and said, hey, do you want the job? No? Okay, well, Mike Martin Jr. is going to be all right. You know, that might be the extent of the national search, but I do think they're at least going to, you know, it would be dumb just to handcuff yourself right now to one candidate, even though I think he's probably the best candidate that would be interested in the job from an assistant coach's standpoint.
Oh, for sure. Way to go out on a limb on that one, Corey.
Yeah, so, you know, I do think, again, I guess, I don't know, I'm probably talking in circles. None of this makes sense. I'm a better writer than a talker.
No, you're fine. I mean,
thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. But, you know, I just think that those talks had to take place. It would be crazy that they didn't. And so my personal opinion, and is just opinion, I haven't talked to either man, I don't know, that the reason things went so smoothly, because, again, I made the point that it could have gotten ugly. Like, Mike Martin wasn't going to get fired. His program's too good for him to get fired. And he could have hung on and dug in, and then it could have been another ugly scene with the legendary coach kind of getting the boot. But this time it would be it'd be less understandable because his program was still really good. So it could have been that. The fact that everything seems to have gone so smoothly makes me think that maybe he feels pretty good, at least that Mike Martin Jr. is going to be a serious candidate for the job.
Yeah. Let's talk about some other names, possibly. I mean, obviously, these have no connections, but just some of the people that come to my mind, I think, that are out there that are top-tier candidates that I'd be interested to see how they could do at Florida State. But obviously, we'll also weigh the pro and cons in terms of meat. Folks, it's June 19th. We're going to talk about baseball. We'll maybe figure out a way to talk about football, but don't hold your breath. But we still love you. He's Corey Aslan. Wake Up War Chance, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
These recruiting updates are nothing but fluff.
Are you wasting your time again on free blogs and social media to get the scoop on FSU recruiting?
Yeah, it's all bait and switch. Get me excited with a headline, but get nothing in return. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with FSU recruiting?
Could be another top 5 class, but for the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer. Just sign up and you'll get full access through signing day. And nobody has more accurate and timely information on recruiting than warchant.com.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
2 trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
What's up? I'm Aslan. He's Corey. Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. A reminder, folks, the show's brought to you by For the Table Hospitality, but the Renegade Express takes off on Thursday. Post your questions on the Tribal Council over on warchant.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days. Call us, 850-792-5730, 850-7-YAKS-30. All right, Corey, back to the whole baseball thing here now. So how many guys would you? I mean, I keep asking you all these sort of questions where I'm putting you in the shoes of people that you're not. But if you're Mike Martin Jr., how many guys can you hear their names being floated, or, Florida State talked to this guy, he talked to Florida State? How many guys before you say, screw it, I'm out then? He doesn't maybe have to be the first choice. I remember this time this guy got hired at Cam Akers' high school. He was actually, I think, like the third candidate that they really wanted. And it was kind of awkward because everybody in town knew. And then when they introduced him, the superintendent said, I think, I can speak for the hiring process and the fact that a lot of us men in here probably weren't our wife's first choice, but we're glad that we were her, ultimate choice. And we did everything we could to let her know that we were the right choice at the end of the day. And everybody got a good chuckle out of it.
Right.
But I wonder, if you're Mike Martin Jr., you put all this blood, sweat, and tears as a player and a coach, how many guys could you hear about getting interviews or, the job being offered to reach out to them before you're like, well, you know what? I don't feel appreciated. I'm out of here then.
Well, I mean, I feel like that could certainly happen. I mean, we could all put ourselves in those shoes and say, yeah, but, I don't know how much he's going to know, what's really serious, who the real offers are out there too, if there will be another offer. So I don't think that will really come into play that much because again, it's college baseball. So it's not like it's going to be a 24/7 search where everybody's paying attention and there's going to be, websites all over the country saying printing rumors and putting rumors out there about a list and possible candidates and all that. I don't really foresee that happening much with college baseball. Like you've seen it a little bit with Mississippi State, right? That's what's happened in the last few months. But that's not really, I don't know that's. It won't be so much. The news won't be so much that he'll have heard 15 names besides his. I don't think. I just don't think that college baseball reporting works like that.
Well,
if he finds out that they've talked to 15 different guys or 4 different guys, then yeah, I'm sure that would anger him. But I don't know that he'd be like, all right, screw you guys, I'm going to South Alabama.
Yeah.
I think he really wants the job. I think he's been here for a long time. I think that the one hang-up that people have with him is the last name because of Jeff Bowden how it looks nepotism-wise. I think that's the truth. I think if Jeff Bowden had never coached at Florida State for the football team, that I don't think there'd be many people that would have a problem. And I'm talking about the casual baseball fans, the ones that just tune in June. I don't think many of them would have a problem with the Sun taking over. But they're so still, traumatized by that rainbow Jeff Bowden offense from the mid-2000s that they still have a hard time trusting that this son actually knows what he's doing and has known what he's doing for a long time. And again, it sounds like I'm stumping for meat. I don't mean for it to sound like that. I'm just saying that as an assistant coach, he is a really appealing candidate. But there might be a great head coach out there. And again, I'm talking about Oregon State guy and people like that. That might, for whatever reason, be interested in Tallahassee and coming here, and you have to at least listen. But if you're Stan Wilcox, even if you're leaning towards the direction of hiring the assistant coach,
97.9 ESPN Radio, it's Wake Up War Chant. It's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. All right, Corey, give me a word or two then, to describe maybe Meat's philosophy. Then, how would you describe his sort of approach? Not to be too vague. But
as a hitting coach?
Yeah, definitely offensively.
Okay, well, number one, he's a hard ass. I don't think that surprises anyone. His dad is a bit of one too. Was certainly one earlier in his career. But he's a hard ass. He's not what you'd call, I don't think, a player's coach. But I don't think that's a surprise, and I don't think you need to be a player's coach. The guy at Florida ain't a player's coach. I don't think he's the really jolly guy to play for either. By the way, baseball guys just aren't generally, are they? They're not a lot of fun-loving, wonderful.
Joe Madden.
They're just
there you go, Joe
hard
Madden.
asses.
That's the list. Joe Madden, then nobody else.
Yeah, right. I mean, there aren't many of them. So it's certainly not Jim Leland. I don't know why his name keeps popping in my head. And Tony La Russa. Those guys weren't wonderful guys. So, but his hitting approach as a coach is you have a zone. They look at all the numbers. You have a zone where you hit the ball really well in the strike zone, really well. Like say it's middle in, up in the zone, but a strike, but around your belt, middle in. That's your That's your hot zone. That's where you hit 600 when you put a ball in play, is right there. Well, he wants you hitting those pitches. And if they're not those pitches, you don't have to swing at a pitcher's pitch. You don't have to swing on the first strike every time if it's right on the black on the outside corner, because you can't do anything with that. Have long at bats until you get that pitch that you hit, and make pitchers work. Make them throw strikes, make them get deep into counts, make them have to come out of the game in the 5th inning or 6th inning, drive that pitch count up, because in college baseball in particular, the bullpens are usually the worst part of a pitching rotation. Now, in the major leagues, it's gotten to the point where everybody throws 99, and it's not really much of an advantage to get to a bullpen. But in college baseball, it still is. So he wants to drive the pitch count up. He wants to get guys on base. He always is close to leading the nation in walks, on-base percentage, and it just stands to reason. The more guys you have on base, the more runs you score. So that's his philosophy. It's a lot like Moneyball. If people remember that book or watch that movie, it's crazy that Jonah Hill was nominated for an Oscar, but God love him. That it's, you want guys that get on base. The more you get on base, the more time, the more you get on base, the better chance you have of winning a game. It's just kind of that simple math.
Good things happen. Well, so then this is my sort of counter to his candidacy, and this isn't me like going devil's advocate. This is just the way that I feel about things. His name doesn't bother me. And I agree with you. I think the casual fan is making this whole erroneous correlation or comparison with Jeff Bowden and him, which is totally unfair, because Jeff Bowden is nowhere near as accomplished as Mike Martin Jr. is. So let's get that obviously out the way. That is my concern, that I feel like the offense that you described to me is a bit of a passive sort of philosophy. And I think when you get into the postseason, I think it's a lot harder to be a passive team by nature, and then you fall behind 2-0 in an elimination game, or you're trailing, and then you have to start choking up on the bat a little bit, and you have to get more aggressive. I think it's much harder to say giddy up than it is to say, whoa, buddy, to steal a line from the former head coach around these parts. Like, that's what kind of concerns me. And not to be prisoner of the moment, but Tim Tadlock, who's the head coach at Texas Tech, he actually played at Texas Tech. This is now, I think, his 6th or 7th season at Tech. This is the 3rd time they made it to the College World Series, and these are the only 3 times the program has ever been to the College World Series.
That team rakes.
Yes, they beat.
That team really hits.
Yes, they beat Florida the other night as well, which is super cool. And I don't want to get too biased on that or anything, but like I want somebody who's like that. And I read the post game news comments, and I watched his post game presser. And the whole thing was, what'd you guys do? What was your approach? And it was just, we were aggressive. We got after it. We knew we were going to have to battle. Not to say that they don't. I mean, that's the whole, the sort of crux of Mike Martin Jr.'s approach, that you're going to have to battle and wait for your pitch. But it seems like that's more of an aggressive mindset that he has. And that's the kind of guy that I would like to see come here. Not to say that, Mike Martin Jr. maybe can't, tweak things and develop that, but that's my biggest concern. I just feel like with the way it is, if you're going to be passive and you're waiting for the right pitch to come to you, sometimes you got to go win games. You got to go get things. You can't have it handed to you. You got to go get it. And I don't know. I think it's really difficult for kids to have to switch and get into that mindset. You talked about Drew Parrish having to go out there and do something that he's never used to before, and sitting out for 2 hours and then going back out and throwing a pitch. A lot of these kids, it's been 2 years or so where they have to actually go out and be aggressive at the plate and go after things, that when we make them do that, whether it's against LSU in Omaha or against Samford in a regional, that, we see the offense kind of sputter. And that's what kind of gives me pause.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I would say this past postseason, obviously the offense was not good. I mean, it was 2 games. That's a small sample size, but hey, man, that's all you get in college baseball, baby. So that wasn't good. There are plenty of other years, including Buster's year. Buster wasn't the only hitter on that team. I mean, they just launched balls the whole season. And they've had other years like that, where the Stephen Drew, Eddie Martinez, Esteve years. Yes, those were really good offenses that weren't just let's try to get on base and work walks and get guys on base. I mean, they have had some great hitters, some aggressive hitters. That 2012 offense with Devin and Boyd and Ramsey and Sherman Johnson. I mean, that was Rafael Lopez. Maybe was even on that team, and he's like a real major league player now. Yeah. He's like a legitimate major league starting catcher. But those were. I wouldn't call those offenses passive. So I think if he had some Devin Travises and some Buster Posies, you wouldn't see as many games like we saw this year. Quite frankly, they didn't hit that well. I guess maybe you could say that's an indictment on him, or maybe they just, Jackson Luke just wasn't very good this year. He hit some home runs, but he wasn't an impact bat. And Cal Raleigh at the end of the year was. Drew Mendoza for a few stretches was, but not much. They never had a leadoff hitter. They just had some problems. But I'd hate, you talk about being a prisoner of the moment. I'd hate to use just this season and specifically the postseason as an indictment of Mike Martin's coaching philosophy, because you remember the Stanford game when they got, they scored like 18 runs against Stanford to get to the College World Series.
They scored 37 runs against Ohio State.
Number one pitcher in the draft.
Yeah.
No, and attacked them. They didn't just wait for him to make mistakes. I mean, they went up there and were aggressive and attacked him. And last year they had a really good run going offensively. And just, it's hard to score in Omaha. It certainly always seems to be hard for Florida State to score in Omaha. But it was, and, they still scored runs. They still swung the bat decently out in Omaha. But before that, they had swung the bats really well in the postseason leading up to Omaha. I just, I think, they're just due for a couple bloops to fall, and then a kid to hit a grand slam when it matters. Yeah. That's just what this program is due for. But again, they get on base. I get what you're saying, but the better pitching you face, there aren't a lot of real strong strategies when you're facing really, really good pitching. You just hope they're off.
Fair enough.
And the Brady Singer kid. His defense let him down, or he would have given up 2 earned runs. It wasn't like they destroyed that kid.
Yeah.
But they did get some hits. I'm talking about the number one Florida guy that Texas Tech scored off of. But they got lucky because Florida made some uncharacteristic mistakes in the field too.
Yeah. No, they balked and everything. It was pretty crazy. 30 seconds. I know you don't know a lot about this guy, but the disgraced now coach at Mississippi State, Andy Cannizaro, he actually – he was a scout for the Yankees, was an assistant under Paul Manero at LSU. Is that would you be disappointed if Florida State hired a guy that brought that kind of baggage? Again, he's a guy that was tabbed by John Cohen at Mississippi State to take over for him. He became the athletic director, but then Cannizaro, in his second season after 3 games, was dismissed for having an affair with his wife with a Mississippi State staffer. I mean, it would only be 1 year removed from that. Is that not enough to repent your sins, or do you not? After a sterling guy like Mike Martin, do you not go to somebody who has already like a scarlet letter on them?
Yeah, I feel like that's a tough sell to this fan base, especially after the guy that he'd be replacing, who's been married, I assume, happily for whatever it is, 50-something years. I mean, that would be – but, I mean, I'm not that I'm the Mr. Morality. I just don't know that it would be a hard sell to say, hey, our new coach replacing the legend is a guy that got fired after a week in Starkville.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the best sell, whether he's a great coach or not.
A year and a week. Yeah,
I just think there'll be a lot. The pool will be really big, and it'll be stocked with fish. You could take that one and throw them in on the riverbank.
There we go. Good stuff. All right,
there you go. That's good.
Let's maybe figure out a way to pivot to some sort of football to keep you folks happy. We like talking about football too, but it's kind of a big deal. When the guy that's the all-time winning coach in collegiate baseball history announced he's leaving, kind of got to talk about it, right, Corey?
I don't feel like we need to apologize. It's Mike Martin, folks. Yeah, the guy's been here since you've been alive. Most of the people listening to this weren't born when he became the head coach at Florida State. So, yeah, it's a really big deal for him to announce his retirement.
Yeah, me included. All right, man, let's step aside. Final break of the day. We'll be right back. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back to the program. Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. He's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. Thanks so much for being here, or for being here, if I could actually speak. Corey, check it out. 76 days. 76 days left until college football for Florida State fans. Memorial Day, or Labor Day weekend. Golly, pick me up here, bud. 76 days. I'm excited. Are you excited? Best 76 in Florida State history. Here's some names. You ready?
I'm going to say... I think Stephen Gabbard was a 76.
Correct.
And he was good. Give me some other ones, though. Who else is in the running?
His father, I'm assuming it's his, not, yeah, it's got to be, I'm assuming his father, Steve Gabbard, had 76.
That's who I was talking about. The one that, not the long snapper, but the one that was like a D lineman and a really good one back in the 80s.
Walter Jones was a 76.
Oh, well, there you go. He was 76, huh? Because he was 78. With the Seahawks, I think.
It says 95 to 96. And he was only here for one season, right? So
yeah, they redshirted him.
Of course. I mean, got to get those.
So the 95 team, I'm almost, I know Randy Moss redshirted in 95, but I think Walter Jones was redshirting too.
Oh, man, fantastic. Rick Leonard was a 76 as well. And then here just
right.
An absolute Ross Brandon, who's actually my landlord when I was in college. Ross Brandon and Clay Shiver, I think, actually started like a property management company. They were my landlord.
All right.
Courtney
Probably wasn't too long after he played, right? Didn't he won a national title, right?
They did. Yep. Courtney Shaq Abbott. Remember him from, I think, like Westlake High School or something like that in the Atlanta area?
Huge kid.
Large human being. Duron Rose, Garrett Faircloth. I mean, just some stalwarts from the lost decade.
I was going to say, not a who's who of FSU football greats.
Yeah. Alfonso Carricker. He wore 76.
Yeah, now he might be the one. He was better but he was really good. He played in the NFL for a while. And he played in the early 80s when Florida State had almost zero talent on defense. And he was like the one guy that could kind of wreck an offensive line back when they'd win games 42-41. He'd be the one guy on defense that was good.
All right. Fantastic.
Good stuff. We'll go with Alfonso Carricker.
All right. So, again, 76 days, folks. We're ready. I know you guys are ready as well. It'll be pretty cool. On something completely unrelated.
You don't sound ready. You sound like you're just bummed about the whole summer.
I'm just. I mean, we got like what? That means what? 10 Saturdays left without college football.
Yeah, it's a bummer when you put it. I've always people sometimes will do that. Like, hey, only 11 Saturdays until college football, and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. And then you do the math, and like, man, that's even worse to think of it like that. Yeah. I got 10 more Saturdays till I get to watch college football. I got 70 something more days. Screw that noise.
All right, so there's a couple threads I saw over on the Tribal Council that I wanted to talk about maybe.
All right, let's do it.
I'm stretching. I'm trying to figure out something football related, but I failed you, everybody. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll have another day. We'll try to figure it out. So, like, people, man, again, this goes back to maybe me not being the homer. Like, okay, so check it. I won't drink Gatorade. I tell my mom not to buy Gatorade. My brother, who's a Florida State alum, drinks Gatorade. I shame him all the time. He tells me I'm stupid. But I won't drink Gatorade. Just won't do it. Can't do it. There is a direct correlation between buying Gatorade and facilitating the University of Florida that I just don't want to be part of, okay? But there's a guy who comes on the message board and asks us, yo, I'm moving to Gainesville for a job, and even puts in there, listen, I know I'm not happy about it either, but it's a really good opportunity. Can you give me some ideas of where to live? Now, eventually, after about 45 replies of why are you moving there? It's the worst place ever. Don't go there. You're stupid. It's not worth it. A couple people like, here, move here, this part of town, that part of town. Like, this poor guy. Listen, he's a Florida State guy, everybody. He doesn't want to live in Gainesville. He doesn't. Like, we're not making it any easier on him. Like, be kind to the guy. Try to reassure him that it won't maybe be that bad. And then Brooks Koepka. People are, somebody said the reason they rooted for Brooks Koepka over Daniel Berger is because Daniel Berger is sponsored by Lacoste, and Lacoste has got the alligator logo on the chest, but it's actually a crocodile because Rene Lacoste, the tennis player, his nickname was Crocodile. So the guy was like, right. Okay, I'm not that upset about it anymore. It's just a shirt. I mean, and then people are mad at Brooks Koepka because I guess he was wearing an orange shirt one day. Listen, man, maybe he just looks good in orange. Maybe his wife thinks he looks good in orange. He just wants to wear orange. He's not supporting Florida. Like, I mean, it's so crazy.
I don't think he's married yet, is he? But also, I think
or his fiance, sorry.
I feel like your opinion would have a little more credence if you hadn't have just said you don't drink Gatorade.
Well, look, I get it. There's certain things that, yes, there needs to be lines in the sand. I'm not going to financially assist the University of Florida, but I'm not going to get upset if people wear orange. I own clothes that are orange.
Do you know what their cut is for Gatorade? Like what? I know they invented it, or they didn't invent it. A dude that worked there invented it like 50 years ago. Do they still get a cut of Gatorade?
Pretty sure. It was actually Seminole Firewater, as we all know. They stole it from Florida State. It was originally called Seminole Firewater, then they took it and
that probably wouldn't play well in today's climate.
Yeah.
To have a drink called Seminole Firewater.
Back in 2015, ESPN wrote an article that said the royalties for Gatorade surpassed $1 billion. I don't know how much.
For Florida?
Yes.
For the University of Florida?
Yes.
Wow. When's that Spanx money coming? When's Florida State going to get in the Spanx game?
ABC News says that although details of the royalties given to the Gatorade Trust, which was formed in May of 1967, are not public, the University of Florida, which receives a 20% cut from the royalties, reported this week its total take from its piece in Gatorade had risen to $281 million, which is funny because
holy moly.
ABC
You know what? I take it back. I see what you're saying. Guys, Powerade isn't terrible.
it's not. It's not.
It's not terrible, and water's good for you.
It's
There are
better.
so many other options than that disgusting off-brand of Seminole Fire Water.
Tell him, Corey, with
Come
authority.
on, guys, get on the Aslan train. You don't need to be giving money to Florida and buying Gatorade all the time. Are you crazy? My kid's going to be disappointed because he drinks that a lot. But we're done.
Don't say
We're
that.
done as a Gatorade family.
Yeah, no, there's a direct. You are putting money in their pocket, but like I own stuff that's orange. I'm sorry, everybody. Like I do own a couple shirts that are orange. Some are burnt orange, or not like cartoon nerdy alligator owl and whatever orange. But yeah, orange is, I got dark complexion, folks.
Yeah. Do you wear pink?
A
Do you ever wear
consultant.
pink?
Yes. Listen, a consultant came in my previous television station in Jackson, Mississippi, and was like, you need to stop wearing all these. They were basically like, you need to wear ties that are either really bold colors like red. And then she's like, if you're not going to wear red, it needs to either be orange, pink, or purple. She's like, those are the colors that are in your color palette, in your color wheel, because you have dark complexion. I'm like, all right, whatever, that's fine. And I would wear orange ties and pink ties. I was like, wow, Aslan, you look really good. I'm like, all right, cool. That makes me feel all right. Yeah, I'm not I'm supporting Florida because I'm wearing orange. Oh no, I mean, come on. No.
Well, no. It's just, people are going to be upset about stuff. But yeah, I have a pink shirt that Stephanie likes that says I should wear more. I just never feel, because I don't have a dark complexion.
You don't, but
and I don't feel I look great in it. But she likes it, so every now and again I'll take it out of the closet to give her a thrill.
yeah, it's the little things, man. If you can just put a shirt on and make someone's day, why not do it? Now I feel like
Or take a shirt off.
Oh, hey now. It's
Hey, now.
It's a
It's
family
too early in
show.
the morning
It's a
for that.
family
Wake
show.
up.
It's a family show. All right, we're done. Time's up. That's a wrap on the program. It's Wake Up War Chant. It's Corey and Aslan. Thanks for listening. Jeff Cameron coming up at 3.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.